for chip shots, ball position is very, very important. We want to make sure, as always, we're hitting down on the golf ball. So making sure that the ball position is in the proper spot is very important. So I always start out with the ball as far back in my stance as I can, right off my back heel. The further back in your stance, the easier it is to make the ball go low and run to the target. Remember, a chip shot goes low and runs to your target. So let's start out by just putting the ball just off of our back heel, going through our grip and the posture. Now, from there, the feet are a little bit closer together. I always set up slightly left of my target, and then as I go through the last part of my routine, as I get my weight, we want about 80%, 90% of our weight on our left side. I like to put my left hip out just a little bit and then sit right on top of it. And as I do that, I lean the shaft. So you'll see there's a little cup in the back of my right hand, and what we want to do is maintain that the whole entire way. So again, grip into the posture, ball position in the back, stance a little bit left to target, hip out, right on top of the left hip. Now, my range of motion is always going to be about, I say ankle high to ankle high. I teach a lot of kids, so if I keep it really low, most of the time they'll keep it right in about that range right there. So it's about calf high to calf high. So as we stick with that standard range of motion, we'll go through a couple shots and see how it works out. Back and through, watching the ball the whole way. We want that thing to get down and roll to the target. Now, as we keep going through the process, club selection starts becoming a big part of it. I use a pitching wedge most of the time. As the shot gets longer, instead of going harder with a pitching wedge, I'll go and switch to a 9-iron, and I'll move all the way up to even a hybrid if it's necessary. So that way we're never trying to force it. The last thing you want to do is try to add tension and try to force it around the greens. That's why we have different clubs in the bag. Grab a different club, get it down, get it to roll. And just keep in mind, if you have a little shorter shot, then you can play even like a gap wedge or a sand wedge, put it a little bit more forward in your stance, and the ball will get up and start. It'll still roll out, but it'll just have a little bit more loft on it, and that way the shot will be a little bit softer. Always keeping the same basic range of motion. That way you're never forcing it, never trying to get something out of a club that you really have to put an extra amount of effort. Listen, a lot of us don't get to play on greens that are hard and fast and roll like tour greens, so we have to be really careful of our club selection and make sure that we're keeping the proper setup and technique. Always hitting down on the ball, always trying to get the ball down and roll. It's a chip shot. We use it when we can't putt because of something long or grass or something like that in front of us. Okay, so that was the basics for a chip shot.